Tennessee Titans fans, we're a mess, dude. We are a mess. And ESPN First Take is telling us all about it. Stephen A., Shannon Sharp have some thoughts on the Titans firing GM Ran Carthon. Let's check it out.
What does this mean for a Dion in Shador? And do you feel like he'd be a good fit with the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, it's whoever.
Why do we have no audio? Oh, my volume wasn't turned up. Let's try that again.
What does this mean for a Dion in Shador? And do you feel like he'd be a good fit with the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, it's whoever the new GM's coming in, right? Is what does Brian Callahan want? You know, when he looks at this.
Well, right off the bat, that's not even correct. And God bless Jeff Saturday. I like Jeff Saturday. Under normal circumstances, yeah, the GM you're hiring, whoever that's going to be, it would be up to them. But when you're the Tennessee Titans, it's really not going to be up to the new GM, whether they draft Shador or Cam Ward or trade back or whatever they're going to do. It's really going to be up to the guy that's already there, Chad Brinker. Is any other organization, does any other organization get this confused about the definition of GM, president of football operations? Like, whoever they hire is essentially going to be a sidekick to Chad Brinker.
Football team, are they moving on from Levis after a year or a season?
Yes.
And we're going to go get another guy who's going to replace him right away. The Shador Sanders conversation, the Cam Ward conversation, all of those are going to build up and become increasingly loud as the draft process moves forward. Here's the truth of it. You have to decide as an organization, which way are we going? Are we going to try to build this thing internally? Are we going to build it? Or are we going to go get another quarterback and chase that right now? Is Sanders or Cam Ward that type or that quality of player that we can build our team around them? Or do we need to go get some more pieces and parts, trade down, figure this thing out, and then go get the quarterback in a couple years? I think that's the decision of the new general manager and obviously Callahan, the head coach.
And Chad Brinker. Chad Brinker, the main one, because he has the final say. He's right, though. The Titans have to make a decision. Not only what direction are we going, but whatever direction we choose, we are staying on that course. We are not going to move the goalpost and say, well, it's J-Rob's fault. We'll get him out of here. Oh, never mind. It's actually Vrabel's fault. Let's get him out of here. Oh, never mind. It's actually Rand's fault. Let's get him out of here. Because next it's going to be Callahan's fault. And then by then we're going to work our way around to it being Brinker's fault. And then by then it'll be the other coach's fault. You see what I'm saying?
Shannon?
Look at the teams that's in the postseason. They got very good to great quarterback play. The only quarterback that you can only obviously say that they only got good quarterback play was probably the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if you look at all the other teams, Saturday and Stephen A., they got very good to great quarterback play.
Yep.
Now,
let's think. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, obviously. Stroud? I don't even know if I would say good quarterback play from Stroud, but I think Stroud and the Texans benefited from being in such a laughable division. Russell Wilson, he already talked about. Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, both playing extremely well. Over in the NFC, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels have played well. Jared Goff has been really good. Sam Darnold's been good until week 18. Matt Stafford was playing really well, kind of slacked off toward the end. So he's right, though. Shannon is mostly, he's pretty spot on.
Days of old Saturday when you first got into the league, bring your run game, bring your defense, and you can go far in the playoffs. That's no longer true. You better have examples.
Oh, well, wait a minute, though. You guys were just saying a year ago that the Titans were idiots for trying to get away from the Derrick Henry identity because he was their identity, and now you're telling me that just running the ball isn't good enough anymore. Talk about moving goalposts.
For quarterback play, because he's the guy that touches the ball every time, and teams are going to force him to make plays because he's the one guy that you cannot hide. I can hide every other position on the field. If I got a weak offensive lineman, I can slide the protection. I can have the back chip his way out. If I got a weak corner, I can go shell coverage. I can protect it. But boy, when you don't have a weak quarterback, how do I protect him? Because they'll make you one-dimensional. They'll force you to throw the football, take away your run, and force you to throw the ball. You need that position.
Well, actually, they didn't force the Titans to run this year. Tony Pollard had a good season with the Titans this year, and it still wasn't enough to overcome the bad quarterback play.
More than anything. And so, all things being equal, I think Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft. But I'm not taking Travis Hunter number 1 overall because he can't impact the game enough like a quarterback can.
Well,
What did I say a couple weeks ago, maybe even last week, why I would lean towards Shedeur or Cam Ward is because you need somebody that can change the entire feel of this incredibly messed up organization. And as great as Abdul Carter is, he's not changing the chaotic feel of this organization. He's not bringing stability, as much of a beast as he is. Same with Travis Hunter. It takes a quarterback to do that. Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud, Bo Nix.
I'm not gonna debate this. I'm just gonna give it back to you guys by asking you both a simple question because you would know the answer to this better than me. We just finished lamenting giving up on a GM after 2 years. Obviously, in Gerard Mayo's case, giving up on a head coach after 1 year. What do you do after 1 year seeing Will Levis?
Right. I agree.
I'm asking. I
don't even think this is a debate. Like, Will Levis is done. I mean, I don't even think that's up for discussion. Like, the Will Levis experiment it better be over. And I see nothing and have heard nothing from the Titans that would indicate that they are even considering going with Will Levis next year.
I don't just move on. This is the same situation I thought about in Carolina. Like, it takes time for these guys to figure out what the NFL looks like. Most of the things that happen are poor decisions, late things happening to him, mind didn't processing it quickly enough. All of that takes time to figure out. I wish it was as easy as Jaden Daniels made it look. Or Bo Nix made it. It's just not that easy. It's difficult for most players. So I'm with you, Stephen A. I don't just go move on. I try to figure out and see if I can put pieces and parts around him. Kind of that Jefferson, Addison, put some real players, put a good offensive line in front of them and see how these guys can do. Think about all the retreads. The Baker Mayfields of the world, the Sam Darnolds. Everybody thought they.
I feel like Shannon's about to get him for this, judging by his facial expression. But I understand the Baker Mayfields, the Geno Smiths, the Sam Darnolds, these guys that were initially given up on and then they find their way eventually. I get that. It definitely happens. We're seeing it play out before our very eyes with the Baker Mayfields of the world. But you cannot ask an organization to dedicate years and years to a guy that is repeatedly making mistake after mistake after mistake, baffling decision after baffling decision after baffling decision, benching after benching after benching. You cannot expect the Titans or any organization to continue to trot him back out there when it's just not working. You cannot ask them to dedicate all of those years into hoping that maybe he turns into Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. What made things click for Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold was that they finally made it to an organization that fit them. That's what happened with Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. They had given up on him in Miami, but he found new life in Tennessee and he had some success here. I don't think Will Levis is ever going to have success here. I think that ship has sailed. And I get what he's saying. You have to be patient. You have to be patient. But look at Bryce Young. At least with Bryce, you're seeing signs that this guy is he is morphing into what they hoped he would be. Are you seeing any signs with Will? I mean, you got a couple good throws here or there, but my goodness, Joe Milton for the Patriots had a couple throws here and there. Tanner McKee for the Eagles this week had a couple throws here and there.
They were terrible. These guys are taking teams to the playoffs. They didn't just all of a sudden. It takes time to figure this out, and they got good players around them. It matters.
Shannon?
The question is, if you look at those situations, they went to teams that had that already in place. I don't know if you're going to have enough time to put that around a Will Levis.
Thank you.
So with that being said, and
Perfectly
you mentioned Saturday, it's the decision making.
Yeah.
He makes poor decisions. It's not. I mean, how do I get that? How do I get that out of him? You throw the ball into a roll corner. You do it one week, Stephen A., and you saw Callahan come off the court like, what the F are you doing?
That was week 2.
I asked myself that question as I'm tweeting. What the F was he doing? Because I didn't know either. Well, I just think that.
And then the fact that he's still making those same kinds of decisions at the end of the season against the Bengals a few weeks ago when he got benched. Like, I get patience. I get building around these guys, but I agree totally with what Shannon said. Baker and Geno and Darnold, they went somewhere. They don't have time to build around Will Levis and hope that he turns into something. They don't have time for that. They got too much crap to fix.
I think the question is that when you evaluate it, Stephen A., do you believe Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders will be better? Are their ceiling higher than Will Levis?
Right.
Well, the reason I asked the question also is because from an analytical perspective, football-wise, y'all are not only gifted at giving that, but it's important because I want you to know that as a reporter, here's what we'll see. We won't see what you just broke down as football players. But what we will see is the interception, the final product, a fumble. You know, you holding on to the ball too long, throwing the ball underhanded. And then here's what we pay attention to. Callahan getting in his face in front of everybody. What the F were you thinking about? And then you see teammates that scatter away from him. They don't seem to embrace him. They don't seem to be supportive of him.
I don't recall seeing that. I mean, maybe he saw something I didn't. I don't know if I've ever seen teammates scatter from Will Levis and not want to be near him. I haven't seen that personally. I watched every game, every second of every game this season. I never saw that, but, you know, I did see Callahan get in his face.
They don't seem to believe in him. I'm telling you that as a scribe, as a pundit, as a commentator who didn't play, we'll look to that. And if you're doing your job, you walk into a locker room with a Jeff Saturday and a Shannon Sharp, and you like this, yo, man, I know y'all can't say something, but let me tell you what I'm thinking. Could you educate me, tell me if I'm wrong or not? If you're doing your job. That's what you're supposed to be doing because you know you're seeing something that ain't normal. You've seen plenty of players make mistakes and somebody go pat them on the back or whatever, encourage them, something like that. You saw guys scattering away from Will Levis. That's why I asked y'all that question.
It's interesting to me that segment was supposed to be about Ran Carthon. That segment was supposed to be about Ran Carthon getting fired, and it pretty much became all about Will Levis. And I know that, you know, you may say, why are they talking about Will so much? Well, I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, the Tennessee Titans put all of their eggs into the Will Levis basket. I said that in the summer, before the season even started. I said the Titans are putting all of their eggs in the Will Levis basket. Calvin Ridley, 92 mil, L'Jarius Sneed, the big trade for him. What is wrong with this mic? Tony Pollard, the Lloyd Cushenberry, J.C. Latham, Tavondre Sweat, all of that stuff. Brian Callahan, they put all their eggs into the Will Levis basket, and Will Levis did not deliver. Whatever reason you can come up with that, whatever, he didn't deliver, and all of this that we're seeing is because of that. And I don't mean to just pile it all on Will. I know there's a lot of things at play here, but the reason they're going all in to talk about quarterbacks after the GM got fired is because that's what it's all about. If you don't have the right guy under center, as Shannon said, you can't hide it. You can hide a bad corner or a bad tackle at times, but you can't hide bad quarterback play. And the Titans had a season full of it, primarily from the guy they drafted. And, you know, when it doesn't work out with a quarterback, that's what gets people fired. And as crazy as I think this situation is with Ran Carthon, in the eyes of media pundits, this is all because of the quarterback play. This is all because Will Levis didn't deliver. Tighten up, everybody.